to another Real Housewives of Potomac episode review. So I know that I need to review 2 episodes today. Not the episode that came on Sunday, but the episode before that was pretty dry, so I didn't even waste my time. I figured I'd just wait and do 2 episodes together. But honey, this episode from Sunday was very juicy. Alright, so let's get into it. The previous episode, we see Mia being a mom and finding balance with work and her children. We learn about her story. She finally went to lunch with Giselle and Robin, which I thought was really a nice gesture on Mia's part. I feel like she gave them a chance. I appreciated her being understanding and accepting and realizing that, like, you know, whatever Giselle and Robin have going on with Karen has nothing to do with her, and that she can give them a chance to get to know her, and that gives her the opportunity to get to know them as well. So I thought that was great. We find out that her mom was on drugs, that at current her mom is very distant, and her mom says that, you know, it's almost like Mia doesn't necessarily need her or need her help. And in her discussion with her husband, when she was like discussing her mom, and her husband was just like, you know, well, I'm just kind of curious, like, why your mom doesn't come around. And from that conversation, I feel like they concluded that her mom sees so much of her dad and her, and I guess they must have had some kind of negative relationship, which is why maybe the mom doesn't want to be bothered with her, or that not needing her feeling might be something that her father probably made her feel. I don't know, but I do appreciate the fact that we were able to get to know her, at least knowing her story, knowing she was in foster care and stuff like that. I think the exterior or the presentation of who she is makes a lot more sense to me now. I think it's a protection thing, like I had said previously. I think that she's been hurt so much, or she's had to let things go, or she's been let down so many times that she has to have this exterior. And maybe that explains, like, you know, we don't know the details around her owning all these little locations, but that might be the fuel to her fire of staying committed to working so hard and having these businesses and making sure they thrive, because she was at a point where she had no one to depend on. So that makes perfect sense. I understand all of that now. So great for that. Glad y'all set that up. All right. So the whole Candace is about to invite them on a trip thing, right? And this is like after she's getting her new house and not living in the home under her mother's reign. I thought it was nice of her to invite everyone. Initially, I understood why she didn't invite Ashley, because Ashley had just had a baby. So I was thinking Ashley probably wouldn't want to leave her house, especially in relation to the baby being so new. I just figured maybe she wouldn't even be interested in that. But then once Giselle kind of said, oh, well, I hope you don't mind, but I invited Ashley. At that point, I started to feel away, because I was like, okay, you could have at least offered her the option to be invited, and then not necessarily like make it a requirement for, like, I know you just had a baby, I'm not necessarily making this like a we need you here, but if you feel like you need a break from new baby, 2-parent, 2-mommy life, then, I mean 2 kids mommy life is what I meant, then, you know, you're definitely welcome to come. I think that's how it should have been presented. I don't like that Giselle just invited her and she didn't clear that with Candace before she told her that. But we all know Giselle is petty, and she got that little spirit in her where she liked to stir up trouble. All right, so they get to the low location with the trip. First and foremost, Shady Boots. They got the nice house, and they got the little cottage. I don't like that, because at the nice house, they had like maids and all this stuff like that, and then at the cottage, they were in there dragging their own furniture upstairs. It's like they're being treated like peasants. And I didn't really like that concept. Believe it or not, like, coincidentally, outside of Wendy, they seemed like they was a little bit more on the light skin side, because at first I was like, oh, so is this like a dark skin light skin thing? But then I realized I couldn't come to that conclusion, because the light skin people been in the house with Candace. I didn't like that. I didn't think that was okay. You should have got a house that everybody could have stayed in, or you should have evenly distributed people staying in consistently equal homes. That wasn't fair. I didn't like that. That gave me very much slave vibes in the cottage house. I didn't like that one bit. Next, Giselle and Robin are starting to give me mean girl vibes. I don't know like what their intent is or what they're trying to achieve here, but I don't like it. Like, I don't like it at all. And so they always feel like their opinion is superior. They always feel like whatever conclusion they come to is like top notch. They feel like whatever they think, however they feel, whatever they assume, that's the thing that makes the most sense. And for whatever reason, I don't like it. I don't like it at all. I don't like it one bit. Like, I don't like that. So let's just get into the tea, the elephant in the room. All right. I get the rumors with Wendy and her husband can cause a lot of people to imply that Wendy is presenting herself in a certain manner so that whoever this woman is that might have her husband's attention would have some competition. If we're assuming that these rumors are true, right? I also get that they have said that Wendy did not present herself that way. So let's stop right there. Wendy presented herself as like this very successful black woman. I have all these degrees. I'm a professor. I'm a commentator on CNN, political this, blah, 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 blah. So I agree with Robin and Giselle in that it seems that the presentation of who Wendy is, or the manner in which Wendy presents herself, has definitely transitioned to something that we're not used to. However, I insert the fact that, you know, we don't, although Wendy presented herself in that fashion, that could have very well been a cover-up for what she was struggling with. She just recently had a baby. Some women go through postpartum. Some women struggle with body image. Perhaps she was one of those women. That's why she went and got the surgery. And now she feels like, I spent all this money on surgery, I'm about to show it off. Currently, the culture is that everybody's going to get surgery and they're going to show it off. It's not something that they just hide underneath suits and button-ups and sweaters and whatever else. Now, I will say that, you know, Wendy's presentation is a little risky these days. But I think where I struggle is when they call her loose. And then they said she didn't have any substance. Now, I don't care what we're talking about. I don't care if we're talking about clothing. I don't care if we're talking about the relationships that you have with people in general, like friends, sisters, cousins. I don't care if we're talking about your job, whatever it is. Whenever you tell someone that they lack substance, that is a very derogatory statement to make to someone. And somebody like Wendy, they might as well have spit in her face and holds her down. And also coming from two light-skinned women, that's going to tell a dark-skinned woman that she don't have the option to do that. Like, we got to make sure we're understanding that it can be some colorism undertones. Now, I'm not saying that they're making these statements because of that, but I think it's fair for us all to consider all the different implications here of how that discussion went. I also think that them having this discussion at the table was the wrong thing to do, because it's like, you kind of checking her, and it also feels like you're asking her to dim her light. Right now, she's happy. Right now, this is a happy space for her, and I feel like we should openly welcome that. We also know that, like, you know, in the last season, they were having issues with, like, the husband's parents don't accept them. Like, we don't know what it is. Maybe the parents might have said something negative about her body. She wasn't necessarily, like, a thick, curvy woman. Sometimes women that aren't curvy, they struggle with not being curvy. They feel too skinny. They feel like they don't have this, they don't have that. A lot of moms, if they breastfeed, now they feel like they need a boob job. Whatever it is, like, give people permission to feel how they want. Don't necessarily feel like because it's too much for you that now you have to judge this person. Now you have to categorize this person a certain way. And now you have to place this person in a box of what they can do, what they can say, how they can present themselves, and how they can feel. I just struggle with that entire exchange, because I don't think they understand like what that really means or how it really looks. I think if they had a private conversation, it could have gone differently, because I think some of the women started to feel like, so y'all telling this girl she can't be happy about the body she paid for, so y'all telling her she can't flaunt her body, so y'all telling her that her being happy is not something that y'all are comfortable with, so y'all want to call her out in front. I think all of that was wrong. Okay. Now, what I will say is, I do feel like sis is very much so revealing these days. I also feel like because it was a public thing, so let's say it this way. I know like they're cool for TV, but I think sometimes we forget that these people are not real friends. They're really co-workers. when it comes to something sensitive, like you hear rumors about somebody's husband cheating on them or some kind of affair or some kind of mistress, I think we might need to like have a private conversation and feel out the circumstances. Like, how does she feel about this? Is this something that she's even willing to talk about? Is this something that she's okay with? Should we really put ourselves in a position where we're even trying to have this discussion with her? Y'all just gonna jump right into somebody's house and personal business like that, and y'all don't even know where she is? Like, what if it is true? So if it's true, it's a sensitive subject that she don't want to talk about on TV. Or maybe everybody at the table, she don't want to talk about it. I don't know. Maybe she don't feel like you deserve that insight to what's going on. Or maybe this is somebody that has been causing issues previously. You know, like they're famous people, they're in the public eye, whatever. It's just a lot of stuff that I think we should consider before we try to have those kinds of conversations. So in the previews, when Wendy tells her, don't come for her husband, don't come for her family, she coming for her, blah, blah, blah. Like, I understand that, but we also don't know the context of the conversation at that moment. So I understand that a lot of this is to get us all hyped up about what's probably not even going to be aired or whatever like that. But I also think the snippet, and this is just me like foreshadowing a few things, the snippet of Karen and Wendy talking. So the dynamic of Karen and Wendy becoming friends is very strange because, you know, last year Karen was saying she ain't even no real doctor. Wendy was saying she always drunk and all this other stuff. And they kind of had a little feud going on. But I feel like now they've gotten to a point where they have some level of camaraderie. And I appreciate it. And I think it also put me in a position to appreciate Karen a little bit more. I don't always like Karen because sometimes I feel like Karen does put herself in the superior mode of life. And you know, on one end, like her being recognized, like I said before, I appreciate the fact that she like gives back and stuff like that. So I think that's dope. I also think that her giving Wendy like insight and direction in relation to her new business venture that she wants to jump into, I think that's great as well. But I think the advice that she gave her, like, don't let another woman cause you to dim your light. Don't let another woman make you feel less than. You can cry right here, but don't cry in front of them. Now that's some stuff that personally I appreciated because I feel like Wendy has always presented herself as this strong individual. So for her to break like that in front of them, that would not work for me. Now, what I do feel like is Wendy is always going to jump to, I will kill y'all, or I'll demolish y'all, or I will really tear y'all up, I'll eat y'all alive, you know, whatever it is, because that's her defense mechanism. But like, I think the truth of the matter is, like, her and Giselle could probably have had that conversation maybe even privately, because I kind of feel like it's just one of those sensitive things. You know, Giselle knows how it feels to be in rumors with a man, and so I think she could have taken that approach to it to then have a private conversation with Wendy, not bring other people into it and just really like say, sus, you know, I don't know if these rumors are true. Ask if the rumors are true before you tell her what you're trying to assume. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like she's jumping to conclusions. She's making connections where they may not be, where they may be completely disconnected. I just think Giselle's approach is off. Now, what I do want to say is that the whole Ashley coming into the situation, Ashley is an innocent bystander. She was a casualty that I don't feel like should have occurred that way. I feel bad for her because I feel like rumors for her, like I feel like her approach was actually a lot better because there were rumors about her husband last season, and so I feel like that was like a relatable thing. But I feel like, again, you feel the person out about the rumor first before you start telling them other things, and so I think that's where things went left for them. But I am at least excited to see how some of these relationships continue to develop, but I'm also very curious about how all this disregard for the sensitivity of circumstances and situations that affect people, or rumors or things that people say. And what's the other girl, the Estella girl, she just seems, she real straightforward now, so I like that. I like that she's straightforward. I like that she don't dance around the mulberry bush like sis gonna see it or whatever like that. But again, I feel like her approach is sometimes off. Like, when you're the new person, like, you can be straightforward, but you ain't got to be so. It's like she's like divisive in the way that she does it, because she always does it in a public setting, and it's always like she's trying to get to the bottom of something. Like when she jumped into that whole, now this the other thing that I'm gonna talk about, and then I'm gonna get out y'all way. When she started to ask Giselle about the rumors about her ex or current, however she's describing them, and Giselle said she didn't want to talk about it because it's trolls or whatever word she used. On one end, I understand, because Karen does give her a hard time about her and Jamal. However, or Pastor Jamal, let me make sure I'm addressing him correctly. However, I feel like clear the air. If you're not talking to this man, if you're not in a relationship with this man, if it's over, make that clear. Don't let nobody guess about it. And really, when you know it's somebody that's discussing your business, I think that gives you an opportunity to clear it up. Let me clear it up for you. Let me make this clear for you, sis, because I'm tired of you walking around and telling everybody this, that, and the third when you don't have to do that. You know what I mean? But again, Estella, I think that was a private conversation. I don't think that was a conversation for the people. These women, these grown women, they struggle with indecency and in order. Sometimes when you're developing relationships with women, or when you have strained relationships with women, or when you know it's just a touchy subject, we all know, whether it's somebody we know really well, or someone we're getting to know, or someone that's an acquaintance, we know based on the topic of what we might want to discuss, whether we need to have that discussion publicly, privately, off to the side, you know, be a little cautious about our approach, whatever it is. I just feel like these women lack social cues altogether, and I don't really care if they ever see this. I really don't care how they would feel about it. It's just, I just think like somebody needs to check their approach, because their approach is completely inappropriate and completely disrespectful. Like, as women, the way that they approach each other, they would never want somebody to approach them like that, and then they want to get mad when the person wants to pounce back at them. Like, I don't get that. But thank you guys for tuning into this episode's commentary. Make sure you like, you share, you comment on this video, and you subscribe to my channel. Turn on the notifications so that you can get more updates about any videos that I upload, and stay tuned for so much more.